fucking mic.
Is it causing problems again?
No, it isn't. I'm causing problems with it. All right, 6-7, back at it again with the advance.
What's up?
So how we start this one off. So in our episode today, we're going to be talking about dating in the queer community. I know in some of our episodes in the past, we kind of glossed over, dating apps and the differences between dating when you're queer versus when you're heterosexual, I should say.
Yeah.
But we're also going to now specifically kind of just like talk about what it's like to date and over the course of dating being queer and how it can change and the way that dating can change and, your interpretations and perceptions of what dating even means and how it's different between, everyone. I feel like not just in the city, but in the world. I feel like everyone's dating life can be so different and people's opinions on a type of date, like the first date, second date, third date, where you should bring that person, and our own personal funny stories about dates. Who doesn't want to hear about that?
God.
So I guess also with dating, one of the main things I do want to start with is when you think of dating, right? What do you normally think of? Because I know for me, I have two definitions of dating. One, dating can just mean like, okay, you're going on dates with someone, you're not in an official relationship with them. Or, you're going on dates with, more than one person, you're trying to meet someone, who you think you would have a relationship with. And my other definition of dating is also like, oh, you're in a relationship. Yeah, I'm dating that person. And I feel like you have to be very careful about what to say and how to define it. Because for me, I feel like if someone asks me like, oh, are you dating them? The first thing I would ask them is, what is your definition of dating? Because
That's interesting.
everyone's definitions of it is like different. It kind of reminds me of the term hooking up. Like,
Yeah.
hooking up for me, like, throughout my whole life, hooking up for me meant making out, right? And that's it. Like, you're just making out. And then I remember meeting some people, like, in college, and they're like, oh, yeah, I, like, hooked up with them. And I was like, oh, cool. And they're like, yeah, the sex was great. And I was like, wait, what? And I was like, wait, so hooking up means sex to you? And they're like, yeah.
That's what it means to me.
Yeah, like, hooking up to, like, means you're hooking up, you're making out. Like, that still is the definition that I think it is. But that's why I always say, what is your definition of what that term means?
No, I know. It's always confusing. Like, I always need somebody to clarify if they say hooking up. I'm like, just tell me what you did. Like,
yeah. Did you fuck or did you, like,
exactly
just make out?
Yeah.
I promise I have manners. But, that's one thing. I wonder if that will ever change in our society. Like, if hooking up will mean something totally different than what it means now.
I'm sure it does. I mean, all the, like, kids these days,
These kids these days, I feel fucking old now.
But they use words like riz, and I still don't know what the fuck that means.
Riz? I haven't heard of. What does that mean?
You haven't heard that?
No.
Okay, this is shocking because I feel like you are more with the times than I am.
You're only like 2 years older than me.
But I live under a rock, Sarah, so...
You're a cool Patrick the Star.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, I don't know what that means. I was hoping you would tell me,
No,
but
I have
guess
no
here
idea.
we are.
Can you guys tell us? Please
What
tell
the
us.
fuck is riz?
Yeah, I don't know. When I think of
My
Riz,
friend.
I think of a candy bar. I don't know. Like, it's definitely not that.
Oh, no, yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. What is your definition of dating?
Well, I don't know. It's interesting because, like, I don't know that I've ever had somebody come up to me when I was with someone and be like, oh, well, I don't know. I guess I've never questioned it.
Yeah.
Like, I've never asked somebody to clarify what they meant. And I think that's because, like, I don't date around. Like, I've never dated around. I mean, like, I've been, like, dating, but, like, I I can't date around because it's so socially exhausting for me. Like I just like could never like go and like see someone one night, see someone the next night, and then like the next weekend or whatever. And like I just couldn't do that. I was like exhausted. I was bored. I was like, I don't want to talk about myself anymore. I don't want to try and entertain you. Like I don't know. I took this off the deep end. You asked me a simple question. It's just like
The deep
I
end's fun.
fucking hate it.
Went right off the diving board. No, that was bad. There we go.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like also, what if, I don't know, have you ever been in that circumstance where you meet someone new, right? And you're taking them on dates, and is there like a specific time where you think it is important to establish and tell them what you're looking for? Like, should you do that on the first date, or should you do that like a couple dates after that, like the third, fourth date?
I don't know. I think that like I don't like wasting time.
Yeah.
And I think that everybody is different. And I think that there are some people who like won't talk about it because it's genuinely not serious to them and like they just don't care and they're just like dating to date. And that's fine. I've just never been that way. Um so like to me, I mean, I wouldn't go on a first date and be like, what are your intentions here? Like I wouldn't be so like upfront about it and like what are we doing here? But I think that like maybe not like a first date because you're just trying to get the general vibe of the person and see if you guys like mesh well. But I feel like, second or third date, like it's good to right away kind of know where this person's head is at because like if you don't, what's the point of like wasting time if you guys don't
Yeah.
align?
Yeah. No, I agree. I feel like it's important to tell the person what you are looking for. And even if you don't know, like tell them that, because you don't want to waste your own time, like you said, but you don't want to waste their time,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like, I've done that in the past. Like when I was younger, like I definitely have glossed over, and I'm saying glossed a lot. I'm definitely
You are.
like, didn't, I don't know if it's didn't tell the truth right away, but I wasn't transparent. That's it. I wasn't transparent right at the beginning. And I think that if I could go back in time, that's one of the things I would change is the people who I've met, I would have been more transparent about what I was looking for. Even if I wasn't sure what I was looking for and what I wanted, I would say that, because I've seen that I've definitely hurt people in the past, and I've been hurt by people not being transparent with me about what they want and then just being fucking ghosted. So I definitely think that's one thing I would change, but I also think that I was, you're growing. You're a fucking kid sometimes when you start doing this shit, and it's also not talked about enough. Like I don't think I was ever educated about the aftermath of ghosting someone or being ghosted and how that really affects you, because I don't know about you, but being ghosted does fucking hurt. And even ghosting someone, like I think I did that once in my life, but I still remember that time when I did it. And I think that if I knew the effects of being ghosted, I wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have maybe done it to that one person who I did it to. And I don't know. I just feel like it's really fucked up for people to even ghost others, especially when they're older, like when you're in your mid or late 20s. I think that there shouldn't be any excuses for it. However, I do know that people make mistakes. And you learn from them, as long as you don't fucking do it over and over again, 'cause you're just fucking breaking people's hearts, and that's not fair to them.
At what point do you feel like it's ghosting versus just kind of like having a fall off on the conversation?
Well, for me, ghosting, I feel like happens when, let's say you're talking to someone a lot, maybe for like, let's say every day for a month, right?
That's
And
a long
then
time.
Yeah. Or maybe I think 2 weeks. 2 weeks tops. Minimum. 2 weeks. And you're talking every day or every other day, and then all of a sudden you don't like text, you don't talk at all. Right? At all. But in those let's say 2 to 3 weeks, you really shared a lot of personal information about your life, and they shared a lot of information about their life, and there was some type of emotional connection or bond that was created. Maybe not bond, but some type of connection that was created. And then all of a sudden you just stop. You just stop talking to them. I think that's what ghosting is. I think the falling out maybe is when you have already kind of had conversations here and there and on and off, and you didn't feel like you were obligated to talk to them, and you shouldn't really feel in general anyways to be obligated to talk to someone, like to feel forced, but that's another tangent that I can go on. But I feel like if it's on and off conversations and, there's not really a connection that was created or formed, then I don't think that's ghosting. If you just, stop talking in that way, you just stop talking. Like, things happen in life. But ghosting, I think, is when you share a lot of, I guess, information about what's happening with your life and what you're experiencing, and life stories. You're just sharing it with the person, and then all of a sudden it's like you drop off of the face of the earth. And I don't think that's fair.
I'm just thinking about all the times that I've ghosted people.
Well, you didn't ghost me.
No.
How many people did you ghost?
That's what I'm trying to think about.
Oh, you're thinking of the number. Got it.
Well, not the number, 'cause I couldn't tell you. I don't. But that's the thing. Like, I get what you're saying. Like, I think that I agree to a certain extent about like the emotional connection and things like that. But I think that like it's kind of hard to gauge, because if one person is more emotionally in it than the other person, and the person who's more emotionally invested in it is not recognizing the fact that that other person isn't as emotionally invested, it makes it harder when the person who's not emotionally invested does ghost them, because they're kind of like, well, what the fuck? But like, to the person who's not invested into it, they're like, well, I wasn't like really in it, and it was just like a casual conversation type thing. Again, it depends on the timeline, like you said, and how long you guys have been talking and how much you're sharing or whatever. I think if you're leading someone on, then that's not right. But I think that for me, like, I say I've ghosted people, but like I feel like, to me at the time, it wasn't really ghosting, and also at the time, like, I was doing them a favor, because I was not in a good place, and like I was not being my most authentic self with them, and it wasn't that long that we were talking that I felt like I really owed them an explanation. This was also me coming off of like going on like 2 dates with this one girl, and like I gave her an explanation and she sent me fucking paragraphs about how fucking mad at me she was.
Only 2 dates?
Yeah.
Holy shit. When was this?
That was I don't, like, a year and a half ago.
Yeah. So okay, so this girl was like sending you paragraphs about the fact that like you weren't
she was
into
like
it.
rip shit pissed. Like yeah. And I was like, I am just like being upfront about the fact that I don't think this is gonna work and you're losing your shit.
Yeah. Wow.
So like I started to ghost more people after that, I think. And it wasn't even ghosting. It was like I wasn't even like nobody was emotionally invested. I just stopped talking to them.
I think it's also people ghost because like they are afraid to hurt the other person's feelings.
I was just like, I don't deserve a response like that. I was like, I just told you up front, like, I don't think it's gonna work. Like, why are you flipping out at me?
Yeah.
I mean, she had her own shit clearly going on, but like,
but you told her how you were feeling and you weren't interested.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I think everyone's gonna respond in the way they want to. I also think that people respond off of their emotions a lot. I definitely have done that a lot of times.
Oh yeah, especially when you're like not over something or haven't worked through something and you're not really looking inward, you're more forcing what you're feeling onto someone else. That's when it becomes like ugly. That's what that girl was doing to me. I mean, it's like obvious, and like I've done that to plenty of people in the past, but like it gets to a certain point. I mean, that's why I'm so thankful for like the time that I did spend like alone and single, because like now I'm finally in a place where like I'm looking inward first.
Yeah.
I'm not like, what did that person do to me? It's like, no, why am I responding this way?
Yeah. No,
You
that
know?
makes sense. I like that though, like looking inward, instead of outward. I think that's a really good, not idea, but a good way to go about this.
Yeah, and it's not to say that I'm always like there's always something wrong with me. It's just like there is always a reason that I'm reacting a certain way. And it's not to say that my emotions are invalid. It's just that they are stemming from something. And
Yeah.
understanding that is me allowing myself to understand myself better.
Mhm.
And I think when you get to that point, you're able to kind of dial it back a little bit and calm down and reassess as like somebody who knows themselves and knows where it's coming from, and then actually see the situation for what it is rather than just like the emotion and like seeing red and just like spitting something at someone and making them feel like shit. You know?
Facts. No, I agree.
Yeah.
I 100% agree. I think that, like, I mean, I don't know. Do you think there's a time or an age, I should say, where people just should not ghost or not lead someone on? Do you think there's like a specific age where it's like acceptable to do that? Or do you think that it's not acceptable at all? Even though like shit happens in life, but specifically, do you think there's like an age where it makes more sense people ghost versus should there never be ghosting ever?
I don't think there should never be ghosting ever. I mean, I think it's all situational. I think that, like, as I said, me ghosting people in the past has been, like, genuinely just better for them and myself. Like, me trying to explain myself when I didn't understand what I was feeling or what was going on, it just wasn't going to help anybody. So I think that I would say, like, I have less advice for the people who are ghosting. I would say that I understand. I would say if you're doing it maliciously, then don't do that. I would say don't lead people on, but if you recognize the fact that it's not something you want and you can't explain that, then that's fine. um I think everybody has their own, you know, just their own way of processing. And I think that if you're somebody who is being ghosted and you're getting really frustrated by it, again, like, you have to look at it from the sense of like it's not a you problem. It's they're probably going through something. They don't know how to respond to it, and so this is what they're doing, and they're doing you a favor. And I think you just need to understand the fact that like you're obviously not deserving of that, and you should just look elsewhere and look for somebody who won't do that for you.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think what you said before, it's based off of situations. Everyone's story is different to why they're ghosting or why they're not responding as much. I also think too, you know, it's easier said than done, but you should know when someone's not interested and in you based off of like their responses and what they say. I'm not saying that it's not hard to see that or it's easy to see that. Everyone's different. Like you said, everyone processes what's going on and what they should say differently. But I think that when I was younger, I definitely had no idea that people at that time were not interested in me, or they were, they just weren't in it. And I think it's because I just wanted someone. I wanted a partner. And I think because I just kept thinking about like, this is what I want, this is what I think I need, I would come up with these scenarios in my head that, no, that person does want me, right? Even though their actions don't align with what I'm thinking and what I'm believing. And I think that if someone would have told me, or if I listened to a podcast like this one right now, where I heard, these are certain things that maybe someone would do that you should realize that shows that maybe they're not interested or they're not aligned with what you need, right? And I think that everyone's different in how they say certain things. But I don't know. I think that nowadays, especially at this age, being 26 myself, like, I believe I know now when someone's not interested. Um, and some people can be going through a lot of shit in their lives, and maybe that's why they're not answering you. But I think it's just there's certain signs that I see now versus when I was younger, I was blindsided, or I literally just felt like I maybe put a blindfold on and I just like put it in the back of my head and I was like, no, no, that person likes me. Like, what are you saying? Like, um, I definitely think it's a maturity thing too, and who you are as a person and if you like to handle conflict or not. But I do agree with you over the fact that, you know, you're benefiting that person by either telling them like I'm not interested or by not talking to them. And I think that other person, who is being ghosted or who isn't receiving what they need should hopefully identify that and realize that and be like, okay, this person's just not interested, you know, and then just try to move on. I think it really depends on the situation. I think if you're like talking to someone for so long for like 4 months and then totally done with that person and like no reason or no explanation, I think that's fucked up.
Yeah.
But like if it's like less than a month, I'm not saying it's
Yeah.
acceptable, but like it's a different situation.
Yeah, and that's all I was kind of speaking on too. Like, I agree. I don't think that ghosting after like 6 months of talking to someone is acceptable at all.
Yeah.
Because then that's like leading someone on. That's
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, have you had experiences where like someone ghosted you or led you on and didn't tell you about it and you still like never found out? Like never found out why they did it.
no.
Fucking nice, bro.
I think just because like and yeah, like you could say fucking nice, but I think it's because like I've had a wall up for a very long time. So when I was dating, I immediately, like, if I saw any like sort of like inkling of a red flag, I was walking away. Like, I wouldn't let it get to that point. So like there were a lot of times where like I always was making sure that I was the one walking away. I think it was like a sense of like control that I needed over the situation. Um yeah, I wouldn't really let it get to that point.
Yeah. So like if there was like one thing that just didn't seem right or that you didn't like about the person, you had
Yeah.
that wall up, right?
Yeah, or like something that they said that was like triggering, or something that they said that felt judgmental, or like it was literally anything. Like, I just had many people push a lot of things onto me, and I wasn't open to kind of seeing past it.
I mean, I also get that. It's something that's hard to control too, especially when you're triggered. Like when you already have a wall up and it's kind of like a defense mechanism too, it sounds like it's really hard to break down that wall that you built for a while. And it's so interesting, but the wall that you build up, the wall that people like try to have, right, to protect themselves, it's not just you building that wall, but it's the other person who hurt you. They're like literally behind that, building that wall. They're that person that caused you to have this wall. You're the person though now that it has to take the right steps and the actions now to break that wall down. And it's really fucking hard to do that. It really fucking is. And the only way to do it really is to one, talk about it and to talk about different ways on how you can break that wall down and to actually trust someone again. And that's another thing, like dating, like, oh my God, the trust in dating too, like whether you're in a relationship or you're just going on dates, I feel like for some people, trusting a person during that stage of dating can be really difficult if you're not transparent. Like that's why now in life, like I don't know, like I feel like, let's say hypothetically speaking, like I don't know, I'm talking to only one person, right? And I'm not talking to anyone else, only one person. I would tell them that. Like, I'm only talking to you. I don't want to pressure you or anything. I'm not saying you can't talk to other people, but for right now in my life, I just wanted to let you know that I'm only going on dates with you and that's it, right? That's one way of the discussion.
Mm.
Let's say hypothetically speaking, I'm going on, I don't know, I'm seeing 2 or 3 people, right? Just going on dates, I would tell them probably the first or second date that I'm not looking for anything serious for right now. That could change. but I am, going on dates with other people. But I really want to get to know you, and I just wanted to be honest with you and let you know that and what my intentions are. And I think that's how I would do it. I think that's how I would do it now, but when I was 20, 21, 22 maybe, I think I would have fucking not said that,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know. And that's why I think age is so important too. And I always fucking say this, like, the developmental stages of life are so fucking important. If I knew about the stages when I was younger, I'd be like, oh, that makes sense. This is why I'm acting this way. This is why I'm behaving this way. Like, holy fuck. Sociology is a fucking thing. And psych. But, like, I don't know. That's just, like, my opinion about it. You're just
I don't have a follow up.
your brain's just not as developed as it is when you're 26. That's why I always say, like, yes, okay, if you're a 22-year-old, 23-year-old, like, I don't know, your brain as a 23-year-old is way different than when it was when you're 18. Your brain, your body is way different when you're 27, 28 versus when you're like 24, 23. Like, it just is.
Yeah.
It also changes through experiences and based off of your life in your 20s. Like, your beliefs can change, your values can change. Like, people really say, like, your 20s is one of the hardest years of your life and one of the most impactful years, in my opinion. I don't know what 30's like, but all I know is that 20s have been the best and worst fucking times of my life.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, God. I mean, experiences. I think that's what it is. Like, age, I feel like can only do so much, but I think it depends on what you go through. I think it depends on how you handle those situations and how you kind of overcome that stuff. Like I was mentioning that when I was going on dates for the past couple years, like I was completely closed off, and that was because of the way that I was treated in my past relationships, and I was just like, I just didn't want to experience any of that again. I didn't want to be so belittled that I felt like I was nothing. Like, I was looking for somebody that was going to make me feel like I was something, and that like I wasn't too much. And I think that like that's why my walls were so like high when I was going on dates, because I was looking for that person who was going to match that energy for me and like give me the same respect that I knew I deserved. And I think for a while a lot of my friends were like, you're, and without saying it, but they were kind of looking at me like, you're not going to find that, because I think a lot of people thought that I had this like, I don't know, like this idea that like there was this like perfect person out there or whatever, but it wasn't even that. It's not like I was looking for like a perfect person. It's like I'm looking for somebody to match me. I'm looking for somebody who cares as much as I do, who's as respectful as I am. And I feel like that's hard to find because I've been through fucking shit. Like, I've dealt with people who have treated me like crap. And I just didn't want to do that anymore. And I think that like the reason I'm saying this is because like if you're like going on dates and like you feel like there's nobody who's like matching you or whatever, like genuinely do not lower your standards, because there is somebody out there who will match you. It's like, don't lose respect for yourself just because you feel like you need to be dating. It's not worth it. It's better to just like grow on your own and then find that person later. I don't think it's worth it.
I agree. I think it's all about control at the end of the day, too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, exactly what you said. If it's not there, don't lower your standards for that one person just because they're giving you attention for maybe 10, 15, I don't know, a week. I don't know.
10, 15 a week.
10, 15 a week. Just a little just a little jump. But that's the thing. It's all about control, because in that moment when that person's giving you what you think you need, right? That attention, because you crave it in that moment, right? That's when it's easy to lose control. And it's easy to forget about, wait a minute, what have I worked on for the past few months, right? What am I forgetting? Because I work so hard on trying to figure out what I need and what I deserve in a relationship. And just because this person is giving me, I don't know, a couple of cookies, right? And then they're taking them away in some moments. There's no point. They should be giving you the whole fucking cookie jar, right? So I don't know. I just think that I get it. It's easy to lose control over what you believe or what you need. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's easier said than done. And I think that through experiences, and I think that at a time where people finally can take control and be like, no, like, this is what I deserve, this is what I need. Unfortunately, I think that time happens a lot for people when they've been hurt so many times
Yeah.
because they couldn't put their foot down, they couldn't put themselves first. This is literally what I've been through my whole fucking life, and with relationships, I should say. And I think that I lost self-respect and self-worth for myself because I just wanted to make that one person happy in our relationship or in relationships, and I lost track of what I deserved. And I think one of the main things is like there are certain things where you don't realize what you were going through in relationships until like friends would say some, certain things, or they would bring up certain things about like, did you realize like they did this? Like, because you're blindsided by it sometimes. You're in love, or you love the person and you forget about, the flaws. You forget about how they treated you because you look at all the positive, memories and the things that you did that, could be beautiful. But I don't
But
know. I think it's all about control at the end of the day.
yeah. Um I think a lot of it becomes like very manipulative when you're in a situation like that. Like you'll be in a relationship with someone and everything will be great and fine and you'll be on top of the world, and then that person will like kind of make digs at you in a sense. Like this is just an example. Like they'll just like start digging at you and you won't really feel it because it'll be like small things.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll get to a certain point where like, they'll dig and then they'll build you back up, and then they'll dig and they'll build you back up, but the amount of digging that they're doing is more than the building back up. And it gets to a point where like you feel so shitty about yourself that like you don't even understand, like you're just kind of caught in this trap, in this cycle, and you end up at the end of this hole, like at the bottom of this hole, and you're just like, how did I get here? Like I don't understand. How was I missing all of these signs before? But also they built me up all of these times, but like they've also, brought me down. And it's easy to feel blindsided by that because it's hard to see when it's happening.
Yeah. No, that's exactly what it is. And I love the metaphor that you used too, because that's exactly what happens,
Yeah.
And I think it's also being afraid to be alone, and losing that comfort that you're so used to. Because one of the things, there are some people in life that can acknowledge that if they lose a person, they're going to be fine, right? They're very independent, they're very goal driven. They know what they want and they don't need another person in their lives for that. I'm not saying they don't go through shit and they're not upset and they're, not angry and, shit happens, right? They feel that way. But there is a fucking switch in them where they can be like, no, I'm going to get up this morning, going to take a shower, going to do all these things, going to distract myself. There are people in the world like that. And, that's great for them. They're able to get up. They're able to do that. Everyone is wired differently. Then there's another person who, let's say it's a breakup, right? It doesn't even have to be a romantic breakup. It can be like a friendship breakup. And they fucking take it hard. And they cry. They don't eat. They don't shower. They can't, or they feel like they can't move on or get up. And, I think that in today's society, based off of how people are brought up and how their parents raise them, but also just who they are, I just think that in life, people are different and they're going to adapt to change in different ways and they're going to heal in different ways. And the biggest thing I will say, if you ever go through a breakup, whether it's with a friend or if it's with a partner, try your hardest and your best to not focus on them. Focus on yourself and what you need, because if you just keep thinking about them and what they're doing and who they're seeing and what are they doing on this day, where are they going, how are they feeling, you're going to just neglect your needs and forget about what you deserve in life. And what will help with that is think about, are they thinking about me? And say to yourself, okay, maybe not, but why am I wasting time? Why am I wasting time thinking about them? I should be doing what I need to do in order to better my life. And sometimes for people, it takes a while to get there, which is okay. But, everyone's different. And you got to put yourself first eventually.
I think, and I just thought of this when you were saying that, but I think that tells you a lot about the relationship itself, too. Like, when you were in that, clearly you were putting that person before yourself constantly because your instinct now was to think about them first. And so I think it's important to kind of like recognize that and see that, like, well, why was I doing that? Like, I am and I should be the most important thing in my own life. You only have yourself. We've spoken about this like many times. You literally only have yourself. At the end of the day, like, you got to make yourself happy first. You got to make sure you're good with you, because that's the only person that's ever going to always be there.
Yeah. And if you don't take care of yourself, then who's there at the end of the day? There's going to be no one when you look in the mirror.
Yeah.
You know. And that's why we took a couple months off, like a month and a half off from the podcast. Like, you need to really put yourself first. And ironically, shockingly, like, I don't know if we're on like it's kind of like a period cycle with us. However, it's like a mental health cycle. When we're going through shit, it's at the same fucking time. Thank God, though.
Yeah.
No, but I don't know. I just think, again, it's all about comfort. It's all about control. And if you can find that level of comfort that you deserve and that you can express, then you're golden. If you can control or even maybe work on your control regarding how you can put yourself first and think about what you need before others, that's great. I'm not saying you shouldn't think about what others feel and what they do.
Oh, yeah.
But there comes a time where it just gets to a point, and it can get too far if you just keep giving and giving and giving. It's like The Giving Tree. Have you ever read that book?
No, I think you told me about it.
It's like my favorite childhood book. It's basically about this boy who kept asking this tree for his like leaves, his branches, his trunks, like everything. And towards the end of the book, the boy becomes a man and goes back, and there's just a little, like, what is it called? Like a stump?
The stump, yeah.
And he asks for more things, and the tree, who's now a stump, says, like, I forgot the last line of the book, but it's like, I have nothing left to give.
Yeah.
And I, till this day, just realized that, holy fuck, that was me. I was the fucking tree, and now I'm a fucking
Sarah's
stump.
the stump.
Now I'm a fucking stump. But it's okay. I'm growing again. There's gonna be another seed that comes, and I'm gonna be a tree again. But that's something, and everyone should read that book, by the way, and read it to your kids. I wish I read it more. But that's just something I think about. Don't take people for granted. Don't take advantage of other people. And if you do, apologize and don't do it again. Right?
I think there's like I think there's a different thought process in a sense. Like you were saying, like obviously we're saying put yourself first, but you were saying like don't forget about the other person. But I think that there's a different way of expressing that in a sense. Like it shouldn't be like I need to do this for this person or this person won't love me, and more so be like I want to do this for this person because I love them.
Yeah.
It's not, it's that toxic versus healthy type of thought process.
Yeah.
And if you're not thinking of it in the way like the second version, then I think you need to start again, like we were talking about earlier, like start looking inward and finding out why it is that you're not putting yourself first, and start doing it. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I agree. 100% agree with you. I think that everything Val says in this podcast, I usually 95%, 97% agree with.
I think I turn into like a Yoda or something. I don't know. Is that what
You
it's
do
called?
a Yoda,
But
like
Buddha?
a Buddha.
No,
yeah.
that-
No, I
No,
don't know.
Yogi.
Yogi.
Berra.
This is why we have a
You
podcast.
can't
We
take
can
us
literally,
anywhere.
you can literally like start a conversation with us about, I don't know, the fucking blue sky, and then we'll eventually end up talking about water parks. I don't know. It's just random.
It's related.
Yeah. My voice just got really high. Yeah, no, I agree. But I don't know. I just think dating is so complicated yet so unique and different in ways, and it can be so scary yet so enlightening. And I also think that dating, the perspective of it, it's kind of like, it's like fun in a way but also scary, right? When you go on a first date, it's like you get those jitters, maybe you get nervous because it's the first time you're like meeting that person, and you don't know if they're gonna like you, and it's kind of like the first day of school. I kind of remind myself of that. It's like the first day, you don't know who you're gonna meet, you don't know who you're gonna see. First day of kindergarten, like, what the fuck am I gonna do? And it's similar to that. And after the first date, then the second date, third date, if it all goes well, and then the comfort starts again. Then you feel a little bit more comfortable and you get to know the person. But I'm telling you, the fourth, fifth date, before you make anything official, literally sit down and think about, do you see this person in your future? Do they give you what you need? If so, fuck yeah, go for it, right? But really think about it before you dive deep into something serious. Because, again, you don't want to waste time. And you know what? If it didn't end up working, that's okay too, because life happens. You learn from relationships. You move on in a sense, but you also keep those things in the past relationships that worked or that didn't work into your next ones. That way you know what to do, what to change, and what you need in a person. And, I think that's all I can really say about dating right now. I think throughout life we're going to keep learning. Why are you laughing?
That's all I have to say about that.
That's all I'm saying about that. But yeah, no. I think that throughout life, maybe our perceptions or my perceptions of dating will be different. Opinions change all the time. But yeah, go on dates. Have fun. Be smart. Be safe. And be careful.
Use protection.
Do you use protection? I don't fucking use protection. Well, I'm
trying to be inclusive for the hets.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I love that word, the hets. We should make a business called the Hets
For
X.
what? For
I don't
what?
know, like maybe a clothing brand. The Hets X. Like, you know what I mean? Hets. I'm sorry. I'm like on no fucking sleep for the past month.
Oh my God.
All right. Well, any last thoughts?
I feel like there are just so many like topics of dating that we can go into.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we will,
But what are your thoughts about dating? About what dating means to you guys? When you should have that conversation with that person about what your intentions are, what you're looking for. Should that be on the first, second, third date? What are your opinions about ghosting people, and have you ghosted, and the effects of that, or what you experienced during that time if you had? We want to hear your thoughts and your opinions. So please comment on our posts and on our Spotify Q&A. We hope you guys enjoyed this episode.
I forgot to say this in the last one, but I think we're going to start uploading our videos to YouTube.
Yes.
Too.
Yes.
So, if we're on there, if we make it to that point,
We'll
please go give it a like on there and comment on those videos as well.
Thank you guys. Success out.
Bye guys.